All right, everybody, we're back with another episode of the Influencer Marketing Blueprint, the third and final episode of our forecasting mini-series. Today, we bring on a guest by the name of Nate Gunn, the co-founder and co-CEO, if you will, alongside his wife of a brand called Wildbird that is absolutely on a rocket ship right now. A little bit of help from the Kinship team alongside that. So we talk about how their brand was when they first came to us, and how the growth has been contributed to getting the wrong people off the ship and the right people on. And we get into, of course, forecasting. That's the whole point of this series, is we're going to get into the numbers, how important getting aligned on the numbers was, his experience alongside Kinship and our forecast together. So hopefully some nitty gritty practical takeaways for you guys, especially in the mom and baby category. This will be a home run for you. And I'm sure you've already heard of Wildbird, but without further ado, let's jump in. Today's Power Minute is brought to you by Mighty Scout, an influencer tracking tool. So you've probably heard Taylor and I talk about Mighty Scout at length in past episodes, but today we want to take special time to speak to it specifically. So if you are investing in any sort of influencer marketing to a degree, I highly suggest getting on Mighty Scout. First of all, it's going to track all of your organic posting that goes out. So if you're doing seeding, pay for posts, you can drop in all your influencers by campaign. And then once those influencers are in those campaigns, they're going to immediately start being tracked if and when they mention you by handle or any hashtags that you give it. So it's going to give and pull all that content, most importantly, so that you can know who posted, you can reach out for content rights, etc. Also, it's going to give you all the reporting and ROI on those things as far as metrics wise. So you're going to be able to know the vanity metrics that go out around those influencer posts. You're going to know everything that it goes into around influencer marketing in regards to Mighty Scout. So if you haven't checked them out, highly suggest them. Go to mightyscout.com to find out more. All right, we are back with the Influencer Marketing Blueprint. Taylor, before I introduce our guest, how are we doing?
I come first before Nate. Come on, I'm doing well.
We just said his name, dang it. All right, we're bringing on this the third episode of our little mini series here on all things forecasting. But without further ado, we're going to actually be bringing on a rocket ship of a brand and the co-founder and co-leader, along with his partner in crime, wife in crime, I guess you could say, Nate Gunn, on your awesome brand Wildbird. What's up, Nate?
Hey guys, stoked to be here. Thanks for having me.
Well, Nate, why don't you give a little bit of a context of Wildbird? What is Wildbird? We don't need to hear your life story or anything, but just, what's Wildbird? I already mentioned you and your wife co-founded the brand, but give listeners context on who you are.
Wildbird is primarily a baby brand. We've been in the baby space for we're going on 10 years now. And we are in kind of a niche of baby carriers specifically, and we've slowly evolved into kind of a larger range of products across all things baby. So I come from a marketing background, working with more content agencies. So my past life, I was a producer, director, making all video content back in the day. And wife and I kind of started this side business. And as we were coming up to having our first child, and side business kind of became the main thing for the both of us. And then we've just been trying to scale it ever since. So launched a really new, exciting product and range of products a couple of years ago. And that's basically just kind of taken this 10-year company into almost an overnight success, where we've just seen hyper growth the last couple of years. And it's been really exciting.
Nate, so that original product was the baby carrier. And then what are those two new products, or not just two, but the other products that have produced a lot of success for you?
Yeah, so we kind of entered the space with a baby carrier, the ring sling. It's basically like not your standard carrier, but more of a wrap that kind of goes over one shoulder. And we just felt it was a product that could get us into the space. We felt like it was a white space that wasn't really being done very well. And, our unfair advantage was our ability to create really high-end content, being such a small brand. And, I had the equipment and the means to do that. And then my wife, Taylor, was just super savvy on the Instagram train as it was just starting to get blown up. I mean, this is 2014, so things were just getting going and influencer marketing was just getting going. And we essentially brought the brand up to a level for the first 4 years, several million in sales without really spending a dime on paid ads. So it was all influencer, it was all social. And as we kind of got to year 4 or 5, we were looking to kind of scale things a little bit more, and we were struggling to do that. And I think we had to just kind of come to this realization that we needed a product that was a bit more built towards the masses. And so that's when we started developing our more what you call a soft structured carrier, which is more like a traditional backpack style carrier. And took us a while to get that developed and get that going, but that was really the catalyst for really opening up our brand that had really strong momentum with moms and just kind of taking it to another level. And then on top of that, we were really working hard on LTV, and we brought in baby carriers are typically a one-time purchase, right? So we brought in these other products like jammies and play products and more textile products that we could offer our customer base and get a bit more life out of it.
Well, Baby Moxie is sponsored by Wildbird and has the full suite. So we've advanced as she's gotten older into the full suite of Wildbird products. So thank you for sponsoring her and her future influencer herself.
Love that.
Shout out to the sponsors.
Love that.
Well, context of just jumping forward to like when we first met more in the sales cycle, you actually conveniently heard about us through, I think, me on a different podcast, but we chatted, and you basically jumping forward, you were talking about some expansion from growing that account, really scaling with these new products that you were excited about and really wanted to hit the ground running, but you're already experiencing, it wasn't so much the interest in the seeding, it was really around the ad management. You're already getting heavy UGC already, moms posting about you all the time.
The dream.
And so, yeah, the dream for any brand, honestly, right, is like you're just getting tagged a bunch by moms, and especially you guys. I mean, to just talk about the category that you guys are in, it is very much a posting community, if you will. Lots of moms posting all kinds of baby products. So you guys being in that space lended itself to a ton of content. You guys were not short on content. It was just really how do we bridge this gap between all this content and getting it live into the ad account, right?
I mean, exactly. Yeah. I talked to a lot of brands. I've been an advisor for a couple other brands and categories, different categories. And, the one thing I've realized is like this process of influencer marketing, CGC, UGC, it really caters to certain industries and markets a lot better than others. The mom being, I can't think of really any better spot. Moms love to post. They love to talk about what works for them. They love to talk about their babies.
So passionate.
I've always said like, and I always tell moms without taking any offense to this, but a baby is just one big set of problems, right? They're beautiful, which makes it worth it. But like babies are just like a laundry list of issues, And so the reason why there's so many products in the category is everyone thinks they have the solution to every single little teeny problem having a baby. And that's why you see first-time moms load their diaper bags with problem-solving gadgets. And then as you become a second-time mom or third-time mom, you start to figure out what actually works and solves problems. And so Wildbird just wanted to be a part of that.
Infiltrated, like if you get on the first kid, you're really in.
Yeah, baby carrier is a solution to a problem that will never go away, and every mom knows is needed for her. And obviously the trend of it has kind of gone up and down over the years, but baby carriers have been around since ancient Egypt. So they're not going anywhere. And so because of that, moms are like evangelists, they want to share what works for them with other moms. So we're just in a great category that really fits the hypothesis or the strategy of saying, hey, who's the best who's our best asset to actually share our brand, and it's our moms themselves. And if you were to take that to another level, it's our customers themselves. The thing that like brings just like joy to us as a team is hearing a customer say the words, I just bought or I just purchased, XYZ from Wildbird, and it's a 10 out of 10, or it's the best. It's as authentic as it can possibly get, right? So it's been a pretty amazing strategy for the category we're in, and not to say it doesn't work for other categories, but this one it's a bit inflated for sure.
Yeah. Taylor, why don't you take over the conversation here at this point about that screenshot of a video and the ad account transition from highest volume to cost controls, of course, because we're team cost control over here at Kinship.
Yeah. Well, Nate, I'm also just curious with your background, being from and you touched on it in the very beginning, just content background, high quality, creative, making this transition from, hey, we have this pipeline of UGC at our disposal from all these creators that we're not repurposing into the ad account as of yet. And so that's not in and of itself, that's not like super polished creative, even like high-end UGC at the end of the day, let alone like, no, Nate, we want to launch everything, all of it. And we can get into, the piece of creative that Cody's referencing of your wife, but just that transition in of itself, how are you grappling with that? Because that's a game we play a lot with some of our clients and people that we're talking to, Nate, is like getting them to, let go of, we only want to launch these super polished creative. So what was that like for you? Were you tied to that? Were you stuck to it? Or was that transition easy? Can you walk us through that a little bit?
Yeah, we could go super deep here. I'll try to keep it succinct. Long story short, super difficult. And so I came from branding high quality content. Every client I pitched, every commercial I pitched, I was always saying to whoever the decision maker was, don't you want the quality of your product to be seen in the right way? And the answer is always yes. And it was like, okay, the content needs to match the quality of your product, right? So whether it was, I did a car commercial for GMC, and they wanted to kind of shoot it one way, and I was like, it's like, and we wanted to make it really cinematic to kind of match the quality of this new truck they were launching. And that was the vibe back then. Like, that's just how it was done. And as social has changed, as the market has changed, as marketing is always going through ups and downs. And honestly, in my perspective, from my experience in servicing a lot of clients over the years, the customer is just getting smarter and smarter, right? And that's always been the case. Whether you're watching Mad Men, the show, and hearing those pitches versus today, like, the customer is just getting so smart that I believe we're at a point now where there's really, it's going to be pretty difficult to go any other way than just having the absolute most authentic experience in your marketing. And so for us, it was, that I like to use an analogy, and I'll share it with you guys. But if I had a stadium full of moms, right, our mom, our customer, and I could put anything on the billboards, right, or on the big screens at SoFi, right? What would I put? Would I put this super polished, beautiful mom, high quality content, or would I throw on a review from, that unicorn review from a mom that posted without a request from us? I just bought Wildbird. I just bought this, and it's a 10 out of 10. It's amazing. And I saw myself choosing that over the high quality content. So with Wildbird, we've had to, the old saying of kill your darlings, right? We've had to do that twice at Wildbird. The first time was kind of deciding, hey, we're going to probably need to cannibalize our first product that we love and got us to this point by launching new products that will definitely overshadow those products. The second time was those early conversations with you guys, coming to a realization that, as the brand and the brand's voice and all of that is absolutely critical. And I do believe you kind of have to establish that before going down this strategy. But it was essentially killing the fact that like all our content has to be absolutely perfectly aligned with our voice. And both of those moments where we had to kind of kill something that was deeply rooted in us has absolutely like changed the trajectory of where we've gone. So both times it's been a success story. Yeah, and so and now our feelings around content, what the brand represents is just different, and that's fine. Our brand voice now involves the voices of our customers and all these other people, even though the aesthetic or the type of mom or whatever, or what she's wearing or the lighting in the situation doesn't maybe fit our typical brand. um, we're making that part of the brand at this point.
Exactly right. Reaching new audiences. Yeah, you gave us an inch. Like you said, okay, yes, we were fine. You guys running the UGC. We want to be more authentic. You gave us an inch. I would say we took a full football field at SoFi on you. And so, I mean, going into the piece of content that Cody was referencing in the beginning. So, again, obviously, with our strategy, we're constantly, pushing Nate how, hey, let the cost controls. We run cost control bid strategies in the ad account where you have a target CPA for all the listeners. Nate, I know you've heard this a million times, and probably the listeners that tune in every week, as they should, have heard this a million times. We're running cost controls where we set our target CPA and we won't spend against that unless it's winning. And so the only way you miss out on opportunity is if you don't launch an ad that is at your disposal or a piece of creative that's at your disposal in the first place. And so when we told Nate we want to launch everything that we have and then scale what's working best from there, we really meant it. And Nate and his wife, I would say, almost they didn't almost get a divorce or anything like that, but we might have caused a little bit of an argument when we used a piece of creative of his wife, literally a screenshot of her marketing one product, and it was their top performing ad out of the whole ad account. Not to say that that is the strategy we're going to push on all clients, but it just goes to show the power of cost controls. And hey, it's not going to work unless it works. And if it's not going to work, it's not going to spend any money behind it. But Nate, when you see that, well, yeah, where does that take you? What were your thoughts when you saw that, and what did that prompt?
Yeah, I mean, I think we got started with this whole strategy in June of last year. I think that happened in maybe July or August, and um, yeah, definitely got the calls from a few team members like, "Hey, do you see this ad going on?" And like, kind of worried. And yeah, I hit up you or Mike on the team and was like, "Hey, let's get this down. This is off. Like the video's not working." And you know, come to find out, it's one of the best performing ads for like a long time too. And so I was just like, I like went to Taylor. I was like, dude, this is the strategy. This is a time where we either stick to it or we are gonna like kind of half-ass the strategy. Like, what do we want to do here? And ultimately I was like, I think we just got to really own it and just do it. And now that's happened with several pieces of content at the time. And it definitely leaves, I'll be honest, it leaves a taste in certain customers' mouths where they're like, kind of like, but at the end of the day, like, it's working really well. I think the brand is still stronger than ever. So I've definitely let down my walls a little bit on what is right, what is the right content. And for us, where we display our skills and capabilities for creating great content is through our own content, right? And so look, at the end of the day, it's one channel. One channel doesn't dictate what your brand's voice is or what your brand is, right? Or what you believe. We're doing that still through our own means, whether it's all the channels, right? TikTok, email, Instagram. So we still definitely feel like we have control. We've just let that area like a little bit, to the beast of the algorithm on Meta, So, and we're just living with it. And I would say it hasn't been in any way negative or detrimental. So it's working really well for us.
Well, I'll tell you what, it definitely looked authentic, and it definitely didn't look like an ad. So it won over the hearts of many.
Well, it's funny. The video itself was very much like created in our studio here. and it was just a screenshot of that video. So it was very much like we had the hook, we had the line, we had the sinker, right? And we had the call to action. So, it just shows like you got to give everything a try. Because the actual video that we were pushing as another ad, right, with the whole bit and piece, I don't think actually did very well. So it ended up being that screenshot that actually performed well. So
a great point that you raise up is just the other channels that you're advertising on. People just get so siloed into these ads that are running on Facebook when you have so many other levers that you're pulling to bring your brand message and ethos into the atmosphere, if you will. So it's crazy
yeah,
too, because
my thinking on it has always been like, I don't expect something from our paid ad strategy exclusively, right? It's it takes a village is the saying that moms use, right? And I use it in marketing too, right? So everything aligns at the end of the day with one another, right? So my expectations with Meta can only go so far. And I always tell Taylor when we're looking at forecasts and we're looking at the numbers each month, and I'm like, hey, dude, I know we've given you a pretty tight goal here on the CAC or the AMER, but we're pushing hard over here on email for you guys. We're pushing hard over here on organic and on our seeding program here and here. So all those things should help rise the tide for everybody.
Today's Power Minute is brought to you by Social Snowball, an affiliate platform for e-com that is focused on enabling affiliate partnerships for what I like to call the modern affiliate. So not the traditional affiliates, publishers, blogs, etc. This is the modern affiliates, such as creators, ambassadors, influencers, customers, etc. So there's many things I love about Social Snowball. One of the first things that comes to mind is they eliminate all code leaks. So if your codes that have gone out to influencers or affiliates have ended up on coupon sites, Social Snowball would eliminate this. Also, it's very important to have a tiered-based system to motivate your affiliates to continue to post and generate revenue for you. So they make that super seamless. Make it super easy on the affiliate to get paid out any which way that they like. So Venmo, PayPal, directly to their bank, on a Visa gift card, Amazon gift card, all etc. If you guys haven't checked them out, they're on the Shopify App Store. Go check them out today. You're missing out. They are clearly the best and our number one recommendation for affiliate marketing. Well, that is a great transition. Thank you for mentioning the word forecasting. That is the main purpose of this episode.
It's important.
When we first onboarded, you were working with a fractional CFO, and I believe you still are, correct?
Yeah.
And I guess going into one of the reasons, and we've already mentioned this in previous episodes, but one of the reasons we really started introducing forecasting for us as an agency was to really get alignment on both sides of the table on targets for the ad account, especially since that's the main thing that we were in charge of. And it wasn't this arbitrary thing that the brand founder is hearing on Twitter, thinking that, okay, a 3 ROAS is good, so Kinship, go hit a 3 ROAS. And it's not some arbitrary number that an agency is pulling from out of nowhere of, we need to hit X. But it's just based on numbers. It's based on historical data. It's based on seasonality of your brand. So I'm just curious, like, what's been your experience with that since we've introduced that? And that was introduced after you were onboarded, really, when we really started getting into the weeds of the numbers.
Yeah, we started looking. So Wildbird's gone through last year we did 3x growth, and we're looking to do that again this year. So lot of growth right now, more than we've ever experienced. And we've gone through valleys, we've gone through like all of it before. This is the first time where it's just been a bit at a speed that's not that we're not used to and that we haven't really experienced before. And so, we started looking at what's important to us. How do we maintain this growth? Our primary goal that I spoke to you guys about in the early days was, our goal right now is to be first purchase profitable, building a brand with a strong moat around it. And we felt like that was being first purchase profitable. And so where the forecast came in was more out of necessity than anything. We were pushing our our manufacturer really hard to get cranking right on product. That was our limiter at that point. So we've been on pre-order for this product for at least the last 18 months. And so we just got off pre-order in January 24, and just really seen the demand come and just take a hold of it. And Dave, we just went out of stock again this week, which is unfortunate, but we're working on it. We're working on it. Super exciting, good problem to have, whatever. That's what they all say. But it was like, what can we do to like really take advantage of the demand here? And so we looked at it more from a top-down approach. So we forecasted the demand and said, here's what we want to do for 2024. And then we looked at our capabilities with our manufacturing and just worked it down from there. And then we basically pinpointed our profit goal for this year, and worked through all that. And the beauty, not to put you guys on too of a high horse, but the beauty with Kinship here is it's an agency partnership in the sense of you guys are fully involved in the books, right? You know exactly what's going on. I mean, we're not hiding anything. And the reason why we wanted that is you're getting a ton of our money to spend over at Meta. So in our eyes, it's like we got to be fully aligned here on exactly what we're doing. And so that was kind of the beginning of it, and the inception of where we wanted to take it for 2024. And then at this point, we're basically just checking in first of every month at the former month to see if we're actually hitting that forecast. And so far, January, and then now coming to the end of February, we're off. We're beating forecast. And so now we're just adjusting. So for March, we're going to sit down literally next Monday and reforecast March, and then adjust the rest of the year through December. And then from there, we're going to go back to our supplier and be like, here's a new forecast. And hopefully they can bump some of that, that late part of the forecast up a few months. We can increase volume. And this is going to be the rotation that we're going to do month over month over month.
Come on. That's so good. I got to ask you live here, Nate, whose forecast was more accurate, Kinship's forecast or Jason at GW Partners? You're going to hear it first. You're going to hear it here first, folks, on this podcast, either a private equity firm's forecast or Kinship's forecast. If you don't know, Nate, I want to hear your opinion.
I feel it's been a mutual balance.
It's good.
In terms of accuracy.
You belong in politics.
Is that good enough
politics? I love it. No, I just
mutually beneficial.
It's been great.
Actually, what's been good about it, so we brought on an advisory group, GW Partners. If you guys want to meet, talk with them, hit me up. I'll put you in touch. Great partnership. They have a lot of experience in the baby space. We brought them on to kind of help us with our growth. If there's anything I've learned as being a owner operator, it's learning that I'm not the smartest guy in the room, and to bring on that help has been absolutely huge. I mean, I would say like the ongoing message for this call would be like, this lesson of kind of killing our duds and getting the right product or strategy on the boat and the wrong one off of the boat. And then second would be for me, just bringing on the right guys, the right people to help on advice and strategy. So GW Partners is half marketing. One of the partners, Jason, is a former investment banker. He really knows how to work a spreadsheet. And so he's the one that kind of helped build this detailed forecast along with Taylor. And together we worked it up, and it's been really good. It's been a good balance of, I think, one side's been a bit more aggressive on growth and optimistic. On the other side, it's been a bit more realistic, and then finding this beautiful middle ground. I'm a purveyor of living in the gray. Like, you talk to me about parenting advice, business, you name it, I will always tell you to find a balance and find somewhere in the middle. Extremes are just the death of any good plan. And so that's where we've been. It's been really good. And it's been good having this partnership between the two of you guys.
It's been fun
to get not too many Yeah, not get too many cooks in the kitchen there, but get the right people with the right, insight. It's been really positive for sure. Probably the best thing we've ever done for the business, I would say.
Those conversations are incredibly productive, and a lot of push and pull with them on it, because we have different approaches in the forecast, right? And you've said it already too. When you were forecasting your business initially prior to working with us, and I think this is what GW is doing as well, you're forecasting the business top down, where we're doing it from the bottom up, right? We're building it from the ground up. And you know what that means at this point. Just for the listeners, though, building it from the bottom up, we have a 3 customer cohort forecast where we're building up the revenue from 0. So what can we expect to come from new customers based on historical data over the last 12 months, or the last 24 months? And then what can we expect from recently acquired customers based on the repeats rates of that customer cohort? And then what can we anticipate coming from our active non-recent customer cohort based on your historical data? So instead of taking this is what we did last year and this is how much we want to grow by, and kind of working from the top down, we were very much still working from the bottom up based on historic performance, and then marrying those two together, where we come together with Nate and his team and his private equity firm and his advisors. It makes for a pretty accurate forecast at that point. So super productive and really healthy, and this thing is getting pretty refined at this point to be spot on moving forward.
So in this whole picture of forecasting, listen, I listen to a lot of podcasts, and I think one of my biggest peeves is just when we don't get in the weeds, especially when we're talking about such a niche category. Like, there's an e-commerce podcast right here, digitally native podcast. So it's like, in my mind, one thing I think I can share in terms of transparency is this is very strategic in how we're designing our profit and loss statement, right? This is P&L design at its finest, where it's like, what do we want this business to look like, right? So especially, that's easy to say when things are working, right? Wildbird through COVID did extremely horrible. We were struggling big time. We had little demand. Moms were not out wearing their babies, going on, they were not going out to the farmer's market, right? So we kind of fit more into the travel space, I would say, in that term and in those terms. And when it comes, when a business is failing or struggling, really what got us out of that picture was looking at the P&L and just starting to edit, right? Looking at what wasn't working, what was inflated, and all these different things. For us, we were in the middle. What really got us out of that hole, and it's not going to work for everybody, but was product development and launching new products. We believed in our brand and the namesake of our brand, and we believed that these new products under our brand, under our label, would perform really well. And that's ultimately what got us out of that poor situation. And then I would say the only thing to back that up would be this P&L design, right? We were looking at our OpEx, and we were basically just following like straight up standard criteria. Like, we want it to hit at least 15 to 20% profit. We want to, what really ended up getting us out of that hole was, yes, product development, and coming up with a new product and really testing the abilities of our brand and our namesake. But it was this P&L design where we kind of just went back to the standard, what categories do we want to hit? So it was, for us, it was, let's get to 15, 20% bottom line. That's our main goal here. Let's get to profitability. It was, let's get OpEx to 20, let's get our COGS to 25. And, we started just kind of earmarking all those spots. And honestly, we had to get some people, we had to get the wrong people off the boat in some ways. So we went back on agency search. We relooked at our email marketing. We just reassessed and audited every bit and piece of it. And that was a 1.5 year long process. It was not a quick one. So slowly but surely, we're able to kind of turn the ship around. And now, we just had our best year ever. So in terms of now, we're still with that mindset of designing our P&L, right? So, at this point, we're now measuring and calculating and making sure that we're still on point with those categories and where we want to be. And then we're watching we're watching that the actual sales and data come in matching the forecasts, week by week, day by day. And so, and if anything kind of tweaks, we just make a shift, right? So really designing, I always like to tell our team, and this is kind of how I worked when I was in video production and making commercials and such, was I always like to look with the deliverable in mind, right? So what is that end thing that we see? And for us, it's the eventual sale of Wildbird. Like that's our goal in the end, is to exit the business and, achieve financial freedom. That's ultimately the end goal. And so from there, just working backwards, right? And for us right now, it's just getting that, for example, taking that profit from 15% to 25, right? And how do we do that? What do we do there? Okay, we got to adjust OpEx. We got to adjust our ad spend. So, we just tested the boundaries of that this last month. Taylor, you can speak to that. We came to you at the end of January and felt, hey, I think we spent too much. I should take that back. We knew that we spent too much in January, right? It didn't align with the design of our P&L. And so we went back and said, hey, we want to lower ad spend and we want to heighten efficiency. And I'm laughing because I know that's kind of the unicorn ask.
What happened?
And every brand would love that. We did achieve that, which was amazing.
Actually, ad spend went up and efficiency went up. Come on now.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, that's right. So towards the end of the month, we saw all things increase. So, and the percentages are balancing, right? So, and we'll keep continuing to test the boundaries of the design of our P&L, and just making sure that the people that have the levers to really move things are involved in that design of our P&L. And so, that's why Taylor, you're so involved there, along with Jason and our partners there. So everything revolves around those numbers. With Wildbird, like we ran the business pretty casually for a long time. And not to say that was a bad thing. And now, we still, I would say, run it casually. It's definitely like a bit of a lifestyle business. It's just where we're not casuals in the numbers, right? That's where it's just locked tight, set and done. If something's off, we make a change. So definitely been a huge advantage.
Well, being in the know on those numbers, though, being so clear on those numbers actually probably allows you to live a little bit more of a lax-free lifestyle with the brand, though. I mean, with that clarity, makes forecasting and makes planning so much easier and cleaner, right? Like, since you have such a good, clear understanding into, hey, this is my cost of delivery on each of these product SKUs. This is my variable, all the variable costs that has to do with that. This is all my expenses for OpEx. Like, you're very clear on all the cost centers of your business, and you're very clear on the profitability that you want. And with all of that in mind, with, being clear on your AOV, your returning customer repeat rates, all of that, you can get really clear on what you need to hit from a CAC standpoint or from an AMER standpoint, to ultimately level up to that profitability and that top line and bottom line goal. So being clear on that, actually, I would say, allows so much more freedom.
Like so much truth in that. Definitely feel more confident. And, look, being an entrepreneur, being a business owner is extremely difficult. To say I'm not tired would be a definite lie. It's hard, man. It can be very lonely. Everyone knows that. Even when you have a partner, it's the energy suck from making decisions and knowing that at the end of the day, you're kind of going with your gut is so difficult. It's very draining. It's tiresome and it's risky. And so about a year ago, I kind of came to I wouldn't call it like an emotional breakdown, but it was definitely like, I'm over this kind of situation. And I just kind of had to come to a moment where I was like, who could I bring on to help me really take this burden away from me, And that ended up being a Fractional CFO. So we brought on a Fractional CFO to really start that process of designing our P&L. And that was a guy named Matt Putra. He owns 8X. He's out of Vancouver. Great dude. Highly, highly recommend him. He's my CFO slash, business therapist, man. And so he really kind of started to give me that confidence back in my decision making, right? Because my decisions in the past had, sometimes I was right, sometimes I was wrong, but I always felt like I was just betting on red a little bit, right? So he brought that confidence back. He brought the confidence back to the actual P&L and our metrics and what we were following, making sure we were following the right numbers. And then bringing on GW partners, guys like that. I mean, we've really built this team of people between them two and you guys. It's this. I mean, I couldn't feel more like what you said is just absolute truth. The sense of freedom now felt is insane. I mean, I'm more busy than ever and feel lighter than ever in terms of like what we're doing, which is as good as it gets, I would say. We're 10 out of 10 right now. It's feeling really good. So, I mean, even if the business wasn't performing as well as it is and things were a bit, of a struggle, having that, what I have now back when we were struggling, I mean, just would have been a huge weight off my shoulders. So, if there's anybody listening and going through that, I feel you, and get the right people on board. It's worth the investment 100%. I mean, I would cut back some things that feel really important to have that instead. That would be my choice looking back for sure.
Love how this episode is wrapping up, my man. I appreciate your time, Nate, especially being able to bring on as the first podcast interview for Mr. Gunn himself. What a guy.
Yeah, I've been pretty quiet behind the scenes. Listener for sure. Big listener of all the things, but it's fun to kind of talk through it. We've gone through some ups and downs, so stoked to help where I can. If anybody wants to reach out, you can find me on, I guess Instagram's the best spot, just Nate Gunn _ shoot me a DM, and love talking to fellow e-commerce and consumer product people. I think the best thing about our industry is that the community in it itself. It's great because we're all doing the same thing, but typically we're not competing with each other directly, right? So it's an amazing community because we can all just be really open and helping each other. I had a buddy post something on LinkedIn about struggles today, and I shot him a text. I was like, dude, let's talk. I have a couple ideas for you. And one of them is to find a new agency. Wink, wink. I think they could use your guys' help. But anyways, that's a beautiful spot about it for sure. So yeah, stoked to come on and share some thoughts finally.
Well, I appreciate the time, Nate. Thanks for coming on.
Thanks for having me.